Okay, hello everyone, back with the next stage of Dr. Dave Regis's opening book. And we have so far looked at, after these moves, we've looked at knight to c6 with early d4 and early bishop c4. We've looked at knight to f6 and again early d4. And we've looked at d5, the risky but not particularly good elephant gambit. Today we're going to move on to another risky, not particularly sound but quite entertaining gambit that I used to play a lot as a junior player with some seriously good results. But that's, yeah, I'll explain why in a sec. And it's this one. It's called the Latvian Gambit. Now, in this age of computers, this just isn't going to work. Certainly it's not played at top level chess because it just isn't sound. But if the player of the white pieces does not know what they're doing, they will get swallowed by the Latvian Gambit. So it's one of these. If white's prepared and knows how to deal with it, they're going to be better and they're probably going to win. If they don't, you can win some really nice games as black. Now, obviously, Dr. Dave is going to give us 6 quick white wins because the point of this whole sort of section of his book is to explain to white what white should be doing. But I might do a video in a different playlist because I've got a chess randoms playlist. If I can find some of my old games from where I was a junior player and see if I can find a few quick wins as black, because I did have a few decent games with the Latvian Gambit. After I read a book by a master player called Anthony Costin, did a big book on the Latvian Gambit 25 years ago, maybe more, may even be 30 years ago. Good grief, I'm getting old. But anyway, enough of all that. Let's look and see what's going on. So there's lots of moves that white can play. You can play bishop c4, you can play knight c3, you can play d4, you can play ed5. Not there. You can even just completely bottle out and play d3 if you don't want to get into the risky stuff, but that's good for black because then black gets what they want. But the best move is probably knight takes e5, and I think that's what is played by white in all 6 of these games. And the best move for black to play in return is queen to here, hitting the knight. And getting the queen to a potentially quite dangerous spot, actually. And there's scope for white to go wrong. You know, if knight plays knight back, white plays the knight back, suddenly, you know, pawn takes pawn, and you're doing all right, potentially. But the best move is the one that's played in our first game, and this is Rodriguez versus Herrera from 2003. I don't know if these are master players or not, but d4 is the best move, and black actually plays a bad next move. It amazes me that someone who's prepared in the Latvian Gambit would play this because it's just a bad try. It's not the right move. So that would suggest to me that this isn't 2 master players, because a master who was prepared wouldn't play this. And it's just a bad move. Black should be playing d6. But anyway, fe4 is played, knight to c3, and d6. But now this is a move late, really. Dr. Dave suggests that white should have played that bishop to c4 instead of the knight move as well. But anyway, d6 is no good, and it's no good because knight d5 just is horrid. So let's look at some options. So queen to d8, and you run into this regular Puzzle Rush favorite. If you've ever done Puzzle Rush on chess.com, you'll know what I mean. Of queen to g5. These 2 squares are guarded by the knight, so you have to play g6. Knight takes, h takes, queen takes rook, and white's just really, really comfortable. So instead, in our actual game that we're looking at, white played queen to f5, but after g4, it's just all kinds of awful. There's just nothing here. If you think about it, you've got nowhere to put the queen, I should explain. So here is covered by this bishop, and here is covered by that bishop as well. Here's covered by this knight. This is covered by the queen. Here is playable, but not particularly appealing because you'd have knight here, which is check and wins the queen. Here is covered by the knight. There's just nothing you can do with the queen. So ouch, although I have to tell you, and I'll just put this on, black's 4th move, pawn takes, is just a horrid mistake. You should be playing d6 here. There's me putting my old Latvian Gambit head back on. So, okay, well, that was a game where black just gets it completely and utterly wrong. So let's see if they can improve upon this in the next game. And we have a tournament from Gorstal in the year 2000. Agopov versus Serge. Again, no idea if these are master players because I don't recognize the names. So we've got our f5 and we've got knight takes e5 and we've got queen f6 and we've got d4. Oh, we haven't actually got d4. I do apologize. I've misread. No, in fact, in this game, white tries knight to c4, which I don't think is as good as d4, I must admit. And black goes with b5. So hitting this knight straight away and giving a chance to get the bishop out to one of these two squares. So white obviously retreats the knight to e3, c6 from black, which is preparing the move d5. Knight takes from white, d5 from black. So obviously now pawn takes is no good because that would undefend the knight. So the knight retreats to g3, bishop to c5, queen to e2 because you've got to protect this square, knight to e7, c3, getting ready to play d4. And so black doesn't want that. So black plays d4 themselves, but that unfortunately is a blunder. We have an unprotected piece and white is able to play queen check. And of course, you move the king, you drop the bishop. And at this point, black resigned. However, if we just put the lines back on, in this instance, it's knight e3, c6, knight takes, d5. I want to get to the stage where the game actually wasn't too awful. Queen to e2, knight to e7. Yeah, I mean, at this point, the computer really still likes white, but maybe there's something black can do if they manage to get in castles and have the rook and the queen pointing, not there, because that would be awful, but pointing down here. Anyway, okay. 2 out of 2 bad times for the Latvian Gambit. It makes me very sad seeing players with the black pieces messing up the Latvian Gambit. It's very hurtful. Okay, game 3, we've got Vey versus Kurtzawa from 1998, Ruhrgebiet. Again, don't know the players. Let's see where we go here. Knight to f3, f5, knight takes e5, queen to f6, d4, d6. So at least we've got the right moves this time. Knight to c4, f takes e4, knight to c3. So we've actually got something. Oh, I was about to say we've got the main line. Oh, I've left the lines on. And black should be playing queen g6 here, but unfortunately in this game he plays queen f7. And I say unfortunately because it's rubbish. It's not particularly good. Oh, I meant to move with the left mouse button, not the right mouse button. Knight takes. A d5 looks like it's a bit nasty here, but there's things that you can do if you're white. But even so, it's not too awful, is it? Bishop to e7, black just develops. Queen to e2, setting up nastiness on this file. By now, if you've watched all the videos, you will know we don't like our king stuck in the middle of the board. Knight to c6, very natural developing move, but actually loses on the spot. And if you want to find the move for white, please do hit pause. Otherwise, I'm going to carry on in 3, 2, 1. And the move is knight e takes d6, taking advantage of the pinned bishop. So this is now check and attacking the queen. And if pawn takes knight, then knight takes, and we've still got check and still attack the queen, but you can't play bishop takes knight because the bishop's pinned. And so the game is over because white has won the black queen. Ouch. Okay, let's get game 4 up and running. And so e4, e5. We've got 2 players, by the way, called Röthler and Klavins. This is from 1957. Played in the USA, the US Open, no less. So knight f3, f5, knight takes, queen to f6, d4, d6, knight to f3 this time, which is not the best move at all, as you can see from the bar. That actually is not a good place to put the knight. Pawn takes, knight to g5, h6, just keeps hitting the pawn, knight takes, and queen to e7, because your queen was attacked, so we'll pin the knight, bishop to d3, and d5. So isn't that winning the knight, because the knight is pinned and it's been attacked by a pawn? Well, no, it actually isn't. Again, if you want to find the correct move for white here, feel free to hit pause. Otherwise, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. The right move is queen to h5 check. And what are you going to do? Well, not a lot. If you play queen here, there's actually a really nice tactic based on the old diagonal of death that I've described it before. And what you would do here is you would play knight check, not worrying about the fact that bishop takes knight is played, because now this actually wins the black queen. So that's really nasty. The best black can do is just going to be to get 2 pieces for a queen, but that's not really any use at all. And the only other thing you could really try, well, g6, I suppose you could give g6 a go, but I mean, queen here, it still doesn't look very pretty. Look, the computers, well, actually, it's dropped it down a bit. Yeah, g6, it's not too bad, is it? So maybe black didn't need to resign straight away. That's quite interesting. Maybe there's a better move than that against g6. I don't think there is. That's interesting. Queen takes g6 is only plus, yeah, it's only +1, look, so maybe black gave up a little too early. But king to d8 runs into queen takes d5. And again, that's not pretty for black. But it does look, doesn't it, like if we play g6 here, that we can actually carry on. Because although queen takes d5, no, actually the computer's now decided you just go this way. That's why g6 isn't good. You don't take the pawn, you take on d5. And this is, of course, I'm just saying, isn't it, half the fun of openings like this have been spoiled by computers, because they tell us these things. So yeah, that did all go a little bit wrong for black, but it didn't have to that time. That game black was actually doing all right. Let's find game 5. And we've got Masny versus Patzer from Schleswig-Holstein, an under-17 tournament in 1998. Now, this is quite funny because, as Dr. Davis put a comment, I'm torn between delight and sympathy to discover there is a player called Patzer. The German Patzen means to make a mess of something, and you sometimes hear players insult each other with this name. Yeah, you actually do. So if you're a chess player and you go to a tournament or whatever, somebody calls you a Patzer, it's actually a sort of gentle chess insult. It's saying that you're useless if you're a Patzer. And we've actually got a player here whose name genuinely was Patzer, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, let's play the game. This doesn't take long. e4, e5. Knight to f3, f5. Knight takes e5, and now knight f6. And I have seen this. Oh, let's turn the lines off. But it is not as good as taking with the queen. But I have seen it before. d4 takes. And this is now looking okay for black. White hasn't dealt with this in completely the right way. But bishop to g5, bishop to e7. And what happens? Well, bishop takes, queen to h5. Everything's okay here. Everything's okay. What should happen? Well, for reasons that we don't really understand, black plays here. And I'll show you what he should have done in a minute, because this is just a horrible move. And as you can see, it's mate in 10. I mean, good grief. But pretty obviously, queen f7, king into the middle of the board, and knight c4. And actually, in the game, a couple more moves, king to c6, knight to a5 check, king to d6. Black just resigned. Probably knight to c4. Again, because that's a better square, king to c6, and maybe here and here. Either way, or here next, either way, it's pretty horrible. But if we actually go back to this position and put the lines on, There's nothing wrong with this. It just looks vile. G6, this is one of those occasions when this is playable. Takes, now king f8. And actually, although the black king is just horribly exposed, you can see the computer saying black's not too bad. Bishop to c4, probably queen e7, I would guess, to defend against the checkmate. But this isn't actually too bad. So in this particular game, although white won, black let them off the hook a little bit. Okay. So we've got one more game to go with the Latvian Gambit. And we're in the year 1995 here. We've got a player called Popovic against somebody called Kalinski. So here we go. So e4, e5, knight to f3, f5, knight takes, and knight c6. Now, I think this is called the McCluskey variation, I think. So I haven't played tournaments for a long time, but I think that's right. And d4, I'm pretty sure from memory, is the best move. Now, black plays, oh, let's take the analysis off, queen to 8. Oh, I dropped the piece. Queen to h4. And white goes back with knight to f3, and the queen has to do something. So queen takes pawn check, bishop to e2, and d5. Okay, well, yeah, computer clearly favors white. Castles, as you would. Bishop to d7, black wants to castle the other way. Knight to c3, queen to e6, queen has to retreat. Knight to g5, just picking on the open queen, queen to f6. Knight takes d5, queen to d6. And after c4, black resigned. Simply because there's just no way that you can do anything about this horrible move. Where are you going to put your queen? It's just vile. For instance, let's just move a piece. Let's play knight here. Just going to put that on the board as +9. Bishop f4. Where do you put the queen? You've got to put the queen somewhere. Well, in fact, the computer's actually saying sacrificing the queen is the best option. Yeah. So doink, doink, and evidently white is just winning here. Presumably pawn takes. Yeah. So, okay, that's some pretty crushing victories for white with the Latvian Gambit. If you know what you're doing with white, you are not going to go far wrong in this. E4, E5, knight f3, f5. Knight takes is the best move, no doubt about it. Queen f6 is the best move, but knight c6 is messy. Knight f6 is messy. So you should really, if you're going to be playing, just be careful. You know, perhaps do a little bit of prep on this one because it is a bit dangerous. I know this because I play it as black, but you should be fine if you know what you're doing. Okay, that's all from the Latvian Gambit, and we'll be back shortly with what I think, just having a flick through the pages, yeah, what I think is the last possibility after e4, e5. So hopefully this is all very useful and very interesting, and see you all soon.